Hello and welcome to Module 2. In the last module we talked about the SDGs. In this module we're going to talk about education for sustainable development. But a quick recap. In summary, the SDGs are essentially a plan of action for the world. The SDGs are a serious plan which aim to take every single country towards economic prosperity, social inclusion and environmental sustainability by the year 2030. However, according to the data published by the SDSN's SDG Index and Dashboards, no single country is currently on track to achieve the SDGs by the year 2030. This should come as a serious warning to everyone. But why? So what? What happens if we don't achieve these goals? While to some the SDGs may seem like another feel-good international agreement, to the real world, inaction has serious consequences. Failure to achieve the SDGs will mean that based on current trends, hundreds of millions of people will go to bed hungry every night. Almost 70 million children will die before their 5th birthday. That's about 15,000 children a day. Hundreds of millions of children will not be able to access basic schooling, roughly 260 million in fact. Billions of people will continue to live without access to electricity, to water, to sanitation and basic infrastructure. And millions will continue to lose their lives and will become more intense because of the impacts of climate change. And of course, tens of thousands of species, including 25% of all mammals and 13% of all birds, which are now threatened with extinction, could actually go extinct by the year 2030. And these are just a few of the consequences if we don't achieve the SDGs. And with around a decade left, no single country is on track. So, what can be done? What is needed to put these countries and these communities back on track, and what is needed to make an impact and achieve the SDGs? We believe there are 3 types of actions or trends which can help the world achieve the goals, or at least accelerate its progress to get us close. Firstly, personal action. Personal action is adopting behaviors and lifestyles that are more sustainable. These include improvements in household energy, water consumption, using public transportation, diet, waste management, to name a few. For example, shifting from mostly a vegetarian diet would cut global food-related emissions by 63% by the year 2050. So in simple terms, we need more people living sustainable lifestyles, personal action, but also changing our choices when it comes to buying, voting, or living. Basically to live and make decisions through the lens of sustainable development and the SDGs. Second, professional action. Professional action is promoting social and environmental causes in a professional setting, and adopting these causes as a cornerstone of professional careers, whether that's in academia, in business, in government, or civil society, it doesn't matter. So we need, imagine having more politicians, CEOs, NGO leaders, academics, all of them committed to social and environmental causes like the SDGs. This would increase the likelihood of more effective policies, technologies, and measures in the face of these challenges. So in simple terms, we need more leaders with sustainable development priorities and values, but also with knowledge and skills that will enable to solve sustainability challenges of the 21st century. Community action, which is the third one. Working with the community to make calls on policymakers and institutions to prioritize the issues outlined in the Sustainable Development Goals, and to adopt policies and dedicate budgets to undertake measures accordingly. Examples of people who have been able to mobilize those communities are people like Greta Thunberg or Malala Yousafzai, who have become organizers who are getting the communities to enact and prepare for these challenges. And that's what we need. So, here's another question. How do we get more people to take such actions? How do we get more people to take professional, to take more personal, and to take more community actions? The simple answer is education. Nelson Mandela famously said that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. This is where this concept of education for sustainable development, or in short, ESD, comes in. UNESCO says that education for sustainable development, or ESD, allows every human being to acquire the knowledge, the skills, attitudes, and values necessary to shape a sustainable future. Here's more. According to UNICEF and the World Bank, there are currently 1,240,000,000 children in primary and secondary schools around the world. That's almost 20% of world population. So imagine if these children were educated to become global citizens that will live sustainable lifestyles, they will prioritize sustainable development in their future careers, and actively support them in their communities for this transformation. That's the potential that education has to change the world. It could create a movement of more than 1 billion people who take personal actions, professional actions, and community actions for the SDGs. Well, how do you achieve this transformation? Well, guess what? Education for sustainability actually works. There was actually a study done by PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, where they held a number of 1-hour-long interactive classes with school students. The children took part in actively debating amongst themselves and with their teachers about why the SDGs are important and why each of them matter. The result of the pilot found that 78% of children now said that they felt more competent to talk to people about the SDGs outside of school, and 92% of children said they cared more about social and environmental issues after learning about the SDGs. So, it actually works. Imagine doing that with every child. And not just one lesson, but imagine if sustainable development and the SDGs are integrated into the curriculum so children can continue to learn about them throughout the years, to help them develop the principles, the knowledge, and the skills needed for them to become the sustainable development generation. But that sounds easy. How do we actually reach and educate these children? School students are always under the protection and umbrella of schools and teachers. So to educate children, we first need to bring schools and teachers on board. They are the true agents who can enable this transformation. You see, the momentum for education for sustainable development, or ESD, has never been stronger. Global issues like climate change urgently require a shift in our lifestyles and a transformation on the way we think and act to achieve this change. But we need new skills, values, and attitudes that lead to a more sustainable society. Education systems must respond to this pressing need by defining relevant learning objectives, learning content, and introducing pedagogies that empower learners and urging their institutions to include sustainability principles in their management structures. So, this is what we need. And essentially, it is what ESD and Education for Sustainable Development is all about. It is to provide the education that will help prepare the future generations to meet their challenges.